Welcome to Abstract Audio, the podcast presenting life as an abstract art form. The show that encourages you to perceive beyond the tangible, to extract the infinite from the finite, to see with the mind what you cannot physically see with the eyes. Oh, it's an emancipation. It's an exploration into areas usually overlooked. Explore with me on today's episode. Welcome back, Abstract fam. You know what it is. This is Abstract Audio Season 2, and I'm your host, Amber Janae. Thanks so much for tuning in, and Happy New Year, everybody. Yeah, I said Happy New Year, and yeah, I know it's April. I said it because the true New Year is in the spring, right? I mean, fuck the Gregorian calendar. Now's a time of new beginnings, new growth. And I'm not just talking about your hair, okay? And as you can see, we've been doing some spring cleaning around here too. That's right, we got a new look, new setup, new intro, and hopefully some new listeners since last season. If this is your first time tuning in, you found a space where open-minded individuals freely question the concepts that make our world go round. Yep, this is a place to explore life's whys, what-ifs, and what the fucks. A space where creatives come to let it all out and where ideas come to run free. And if you've been rocking with us since Season 1, you already know what we're about. Welcome back, and thanks for sticking with us. I just wanted to kind of set the expectation for everyone going in this season, because it's going to get wild. And that's where we're kind of kicking off today, you guys. Yep, this episode, we're talking expectations. What they mean, why we have them, and how they influence us in our art and in our life. Because it's all one and the same, right? So when I think expectations, first thing that comes to mind is pressure. I'm not really sure why. I guess that word just kind of holds a lot of weight in our society, right? I mean, it held a lot of weight in my household, at least. If you grew up like I did, a lot was expected of me. Straight A's, clean house, best behavior. And I don't really know how you guys grew up, but if you're like a semi-functional member of society, I'm sure a lot has been expected of you guys at some point too. Whether it be with family members or romantic relationships or even professional ones. Look, no matter how you dice it, something's going to be expected of you from somebody, somewhere, at some point. And if you're like me, just the thought of someone relying too heavily on you kind of freaks you out, which may be one of the reasons I'm single, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, I know I'm capable of it. I have a son that relies on me and he's still alive, so I know it's possible. And most of us know if we can really come through in the clutch, right? Hell, some of us may even work best under pressure. But that doesn't change the fact that expectations also come with the possibility of just totally bombing, right? Of completely dropping the ball, of letting someone down, or even hurting someone else. And that kind of pressure to perform can feel suffocating for a lot of people. It puts the squeeze on them, boxes them in. Which is why, in my opinion, when faced with problems or daunting tasks, many people either get aggressive and attack the issue, like really go all in, not necessarily with physical violence, but then there are others who will pretend that there isn't an issue at all and just exit the chat. Like it's kind of like fight or flight, which we actually talked about a lot last season in regards to how we operate as humans. But yeah, the point is expectations can feel claustrophobic. And oh my God, how scary is the idea of claustrophobia, right? Like not the tight space itself, just the idea of the fear of it. I wonder if there's a word for the fear of a fear. Half of me feels like all of us are slightly claustrophobic, but just haven't been put in the situation to test it out yet. Like, could you be buried alive and punch your way out like Uma Thurman in Kill Bill? Probably not. Anyway, when you talk to people about this, you kind of tend to hear either one of two things, right? On one hand, it's said one should always have high expectations of people they allow in their life and of themselves. Then, on the other hand, you hear some people say, if you go into a situation with little to no expectations, you'll be better off. So which one are you? Well, before you answer, let me just throw out the actual definition of expectations so we're all on the same page. So the dictionary defines expectations as a strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future, or a belief that someone will or should achieve or do something. Now that we're all in the clear on that, I took a poll on social media, and if you don't follow us on socials, you're missing out. Like, what are you even doing with your life? And about 80% of you say that high expectations make more sense to you than low. And then I got some side messages saying some people have high expectations for themselves and low expectations for others, or vice versa. Funny how people work, isn't it? Personally, I could see both sides of this debate. Hey, that's just the Gemini in me, what can I say? I say that because I typically have these high expectations for myself, but if someone else has high expectations of me, as I kind of said before, I freak out a little bit. And not only that, but I can't help but wonder if the person setting them even knows me well enough to do so, right? See, I think where people get it twisted is we only have these expectations for other people based off how well we think we know them. Hey, this person is blank to me, so they should be doing blank. But in doing that, what may seem like harmless, normal expectation setting to you can quickly shift to a sense of entitlement. And that's what so many boomers are saying is wrong with the world today, right? Oh, this younger generation, they feel so entitled. They don't want to work. They just feel entitled to a paycheck. And to an extent, they're not wrong. Just think about it. Even on a simpler level, when we follow someone on Instagram, for instance, a big part of us feels entitled to a follow back. Bitch, I'm not your fan, I'm your peer. Unless you're like Rihanna or something, and I actually am a huge fan. But nonetheless. So this next example may speak more to the guys than the ladies. But say we take a liking to someone. We flirting, we've been on a few dates, it's going good, we vibing. Now at a point, we just kind of expect that person to start feeling the same, right? We start expecting texts back, and promptly. And we kind of feel away when they don't. We put these expectations on people and these situations, but in reality, we barely know them. Y'all went on 4 dates and one of them was just up the street to Popeyes. I mean, nothing against Popeyes. I could always go for a 6-piece with some coleslaw on the side, okay? But speaking of side notes, guys, please stop expecting sex after that 3rd date, or at any point really. It's like teetering dangerously close to rape mentality, that just thinking it's supposed to happen. We cannot as a people continue to hold that kind of mindset in any capacity. No one owes us anything. No one owes you anything. Not a follow back, not a shout out, not a compliment, not a reply, not no pussy, not no respect, not nothing. And life doesn't owe us shit either. Just like you don't know that nigga that took you to Popeyes, sis, we don't know shit about the intricacies of this universe for sure. I mean, we can take educated guesses. We can go with our gut instincts. We can read the Bible and the stars, rub all the crystals we want. But at the end of the day, we don't know shit, so we can't realistically expect shit. Except for constant change, that is. Now, the one exception I will make is that we should all know and be certain that there is a God, right? Something or someone who put all this into motion at some point. Now, what he wants is as big a mystery as any. But I do know if he does expect something of us, it's because he or she or it knows all and therefore knows us pretty well. You follow me? That tracks, right? Yeah, that tracks. Now, I may have just gotten some of the more spiritual people mad at me with that, but test it for yourself. As soon as you start thinking you're entitled to a better life, watch how quickly life will humble you. Start thinking you know someone too quickly and watch how quickly they switch up. People nowadays are struggling on the daily to even know themselves, and here y'all are trying to claim you definitively know somebody else. Is it crack? Is it crack you smoke? I talked about this once before, but no one should aim to know anyone outside of themselves because it's a limiting and constricting belief. It puts them in that box. And even if you do truly know them, as we've said a million times on this show, things change. People change. And sometimes expectations can hinder that change, stunt that person's growth and your relationship along with it. Simply put, expectations, when used incorrectly, can delay progress. And although it's not always intentional, have you noticed that that's another thing Black people will try to do to each other? Delay one another's progress. Hold each other back. They'll try to humble you if they see you trying to elevate. But we've already talked a lot about the crabs in the barrel mentality on the show, so we won't go too far down that rabbit hole today. But it's true. We can easily find ourselves slaves to people's expectations of us, wanting so desperately to make them happy by upholding an image or a version of ourselves that may not even really exist. Like even in art, if an artist were to cater to the needs of his audience indefinitely, it would wreak havoc on him, his work, his creativity, and his soul eventually. I mean, that's why they call it a sellout, right? Because you sold a part of yourself to appease someone else. Don't be that guy or that girl, excuse me, I know we just got out of Women's History Month. Isn't that funny though? Because it's like when we set these high expectations to others, we do it thinking that this is really giving them all the space in the world to grow into it, to rise to the challenge, when in all actuality, it's doing just the opposite. Your expectation can become their ceiling, not their sky. That's why when someone or something manages to exceed expectations, we're what? Surprised, right? Like, wow, you actually managed to get out of that box I put you in? Hey, I'm impressed. But is that really a compliment? Why would you put that cap on my capabilities in the first place? I'll tell you why. It's a form of control. Setting expectations for others can be a form of control when it establishes a framework or standard against which their behavior can be measured. I mean, same reason a job has expectations, quotas we need to meet. Ladies, same reason men call us so controlling when we want them to act a certain way, right? The main point is that that's what people on the outside looking in want from us. Now, as far as what we want for ourselves, I mean, you can absolutely expect more of yourself and apply that pressure in regards to what you're hoping to achieve in life. I mean, by all means. Because second only to God, who knows you better than you know yourself, right? You're the only one in this life that can truly hold yourself accountable. And accountability is the true cure for entitlement, if you ask me. That's because holding ourselves accountable is taking that responsibility for our actions, for the role we play in the results that come our way, as opposed to just believing it should all just magically work and be given to us because we're somehow more deserving than that next person. Newsflash, we're not. Doing that gives us the control, whereas entitlement gives control to others, in my opinion. And I don't like being controlled. But there's something to be said, I feel like, about finding that balance between what's actually deserved in this life and what's not. Like, sure, we all think we deserve a great life, but where's the line really drawn between feeling deserving or worthy and feeling entitled, right? Like many things, to me, it's a very thin line between the two. Like, I know it's said that every man is entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Not that the realities of this life can be simplified to an ancient piece of paper signed by a bunch of white men. But on a fundamental level, I feel the difference is the effort behind it. It can be tough sometimes because, guys, feeling worthy or deserving typically involves recognizing one's own values and capabilities, as well as acknowledging the effort put into achieving something. From not just saying it or feeling it, but from doing it, from earning it. You earn respect. You earn that raise. You earn that guy or that girl's heart. It doesn't just happen. And as easy as it would be to just coast, you can't let life just happen to you. The true art, the true beauty in life happens by being intentional. But the power to just go for something like that often just comes from a healthy sense of self-respect and self-esteem. It's motivating where empty, unsupported expectations are limiting. On the other hand, I think most of us can agree that feeling entitled involves expecting that special treatment or those privileges without necessarily putting in the work, right? In my opinion, that's why we have so many of those people who expect more from others than they're willing to give or do themselves. It's why, for example, some parents live through their children. I mean, this wasn't my personal experience at all, but I'd assume they didn't live up to their own expectations, so they want the kids to live up to them instead. I mean, they didn't have the strength to go after what they wanted in life, so they're expecting to live through them instead. Ever heard the phrase, "you can't pour from an empty cup"? Most of us have. I mean, it typically refers to pouring into yourself first, then others, but to me it can also be interpreted as people dying of thirst don't have the power to pour into themselves and expect you to pick up the slack. Beware the people with no water in their cup who want you to fill theirs for them. Like, just take a look at the Black community. Those of us who get on or rise above it or work our way up, whatever that may look like, are expected to then reach back and pull the rest of us up too. I mean, other races do it all the time to progress, while we often just don't. Of course, I'm taking white privilege into account here, but that expectation of it just happening, to me, kind of contributes to the problem. We can't expect that individual to pour back into a community that didn't pour into them. I mean, sure, it would be nice, and it does happen sometimes, but that cycle needs to be broken first. We discussed last season that life is almost exclusively transactional in one way or another. We can't just expect handouts, especially from our own. If your creative friend has a business or is selling their art, don't ask for no damn discount, man. Just pay the full price and spread the word. That's part of what we do here at Abstract TV. Spotlight artists and cover events that lend to change or progress. And artists, entrepreneurs, bosses, don't gatekeep, then expect those same people to support you, period. But you know what? I will say this. That scarcity mindset is what makes it such a beautiful thing when we do support each other. When we do have that guy or that girl that genuinely likes us back. When we have those few loyal followers that truly fuck with our vision. Because we know it really comes from a sincere place. My sincere advice? Throw expectations out the window. What? Did you expect me to say some corny shit? Like, expect good things and good things will happen. Nah, man, I don't think that's exactly it. I'm more of a realist than an optimist anyway. I kind of always have been. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do believe in the power of positive thinking and getting back the energy that you give out. But man, ain't enough positive thinking in the world to make your goals and dreams just come to you. You gotta go get that shit. The main takeaway here is to embrace the unexpected. Choose acceptance over expectancy. Be the person who wakes up every day and works for it. Be the person who's worthy and actually deserving of an incredible life. Be the person that visits us online and on socials at the Abstract Audio Show, or the person that subscribes to our YouTube channel, Abstract Audio and Video, to stay up to date on each episode. If you're missing these visuals, you're missing out. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, guys. And until next time, always appreciate the abstract in your life.